Magnicity does eclipse the old, and is for you a sensing of what's pop, culture and style, as images today, of Saturn, and real-time facial capture reenactment software. 4. In this day, you, what's new, like Jubb's rare device, immersed in a deep silence of reality. 4. What's real, this, I can say is not. 4. It must be knowing that something is unknown. 4. This which is not for your body nor mind, nothing, is I-aware alone. 4. A mind can be left by Magnicity eclipse movement, Magnicity, as can be applied to generate clean energy like Jubb's rare device, and imaging and photography like modern images got recently of Saturn, and real-time facial capture and reenactment, all shapes what's pop culture and style, just as a piece of quartz was put forward that keeps time 1,000 times more accurate than the digital watch at a moment that only levers and springs were being used. Such was a paradigm that reset and eclipses the old paradigm paralysis that is just a paralysis, and that paradigm is eclipsed by this new paradigm of magnicity. Such sets whatever you knew in the past back to zero. So, obviously, none could say that the new paradigm doesn't come up against an old paradigm that is of a paralysis. 4. This radiant energetic dynamo, this has no moving parts, yet draws magnicity on demand. 4. Is this not to as I, an example of such? 4. A Naaman, a shell, is really of no structure. 4. What is real is pure magnicity. 4. The style of images you can see taken of Saturn, and even like facial capture reenactment what's high-tech now in software is the sensing of pop culture, and your depth of being aware of who you are, and what is the world as far as plasma and clean energy is concerned. Time, universal after eclipses has had its effect. Magnicity, generation via design, such as this radiant energetic dynamo incites a future. Plasma can spin without any friction whatsoever. 2. You looking where heavy industry is, and you're looking to find little to no moving parts, and you're not seeing any heavy parts in this future moment. So, obviously, AJC quantum can be applied in magnicity as a residuum, and is the smallest pixelated dot, and can act as a transistor, can turn something on in a future moment. Such could also be turned off, and also that small pixelated dot can be applied to record all conversation that can be recorded for 1,000 years, and recorded in real-time images to have stored on the size of a pinhead, scaling up and down. And so can you see that after eclipse, the as a currency is directing energy toward what's clean and plasma-orientated evermore. So, if I can just take a moment and give you a little insight into the rare device. Jubb's red device is made of nearly 2 circuits. 1 circuit turns on and off. 1 circuit is designed to cause magnetic bucking. In other words, what you can see going on there, you are turning a dynamic current on and abruptly turning it off. While such is going on, a surge from the B field is pulled in, and such has opened a gate in the other, and the other parts of Jubb's rare device involves a circuit that surges and conditions magnetic waves created from the bucking, and what is demanded from the second circuit is collected via its primary components being a unique coil. The coil is filled with an exotic noble gas inside. The coil is made of diamagnetic and paramagnetic matter in a non-conductive plus magno-excitable state. Matter and material is used to make a coil which is in the shape of a red blood corpuscle, or basically a donut, and what's inside the donut, or the coil, is a combination of 3 noble gases, and such noble gases inside the coil are acted upon by being in a vacuum and super chilled. So, as you can see further how this device works, an magneton making up the noble gas is made to be superconductive and spin at a velocity way beyond the speed of light. A photon is only a heavy dense packet of magneton that is via the coil shape and structure is a 5th-dimensional structure that's able to pick up all magneton from the residual leftover pulls from the B field of the magnicity vacuum that's created via first circuit that is bucking, and what's demanded is pulled from the vacuum is pulled equally for the demand of what's being used cleanly, and no storage is needed in such a design. Such a design is modeled upon how biology does things similar. So, basically the red device is a device made of two circuits, one that bucks and opens up space as a gate, and the other circuit made of a coil, which is made up out of a live ceramic. This live ceramic is of a diamagnicity, and a super diamagnetic metamaterial is filled with noble gas and is held under a vacuum magnetometer material, and such a circuit, which is a coil primarily, is like a donut relatively, and such is filled with noble gas. In such a device, such a plasma coil spins without any friction. The red device is filled with noble gas, frictionless, draws energy on demand. 4. Isn't this a model of who I is, as in I awareness, and isn't such called, in the East, a state of samadhi? 4. Isn't all else of no structure? 4. Isn't it what's real? 4. What is pure magnicity? Magnicity is of only three paths, which distills down to this is north negative, and south positive, and neutron magneton, and as in pop culture you can see the style of what's fashionable being influenced as images of Saturn given to you, and even like high-tech software, all is coming from a greater depth of UNI sensing what is possible. So, obviously, real time facial capture reenactment software, and heterodyning, the application of taking a waveform and making a copy so it overlays your own syntax, and replaces sensory motor waveform with a superimposed controlled external magnetic field. On another note, there's no end of applying Magnicity's practical application. You've grokked the fundamental elemental forces in physics, and such insight makes sense of many current components of theories, yet Magnicity isn't a theory. Magnicity is the fundamental force of this stellar universe. So, obviously, the magnencephalogram of your individual brain, a Magnicity dynamic, A and B field, is being applied as it's happening in the same space and time. And on another note of Magnicity, you can see plasma being attacked by energy devices like Jubb's radiant energy dynamo. You can see the application of Magnicity for inverse gravity, personal, craft, and more float rail types of transport. So, in talking further, as a magnetic dynamo applies in a dynamic and static current, and causes a field of clean energy to flood in, and that's the B field, and is transverse to the A field, a fifth dimensional structure, like Jubb's red device, can act upon the fourth dimension of the other two, order it, and the radiant energetic dynamo is a copy of what's occurring in you, and in biology, it's an effect of Magnicity, and is engaging 3 particles only that everything is made of to infinity. Such, all particle that even make up hydrogen is magneton, or element on the periodic chart is made up of magneton. So, you can see in front of you, a north negative that is basically the B field, and is spinning in and up to the left, and is on a finer scale to infinity in space. Then you've got the A field, which is Jubb's, meaning you're only going to get a north negative traveling toward a south positive, and such is reflected back off the sun, which is a south positive and is reversed and is spun back to you and I as light, spinning to the right and spinning down and out, and in between such you've got a third neutral east-west particle magneton, and you can know that gravity is an effect of the field only ever being anisotropic and only ever traveling in one direction, and that's from north negative south positive. So as you can see, that you're more I-aware, is it that all such can simply come to you as it does to me, and applying the principles of Magnicity as I-awareness, is, in your being, as I am, you're getting an ability to eclipse what's old and doesn't work, and bringing in what's new. For this center, which is I, represents space which is empty, and that which is of light matter, surrounding which is and this is you, and I, in balance. You can read such in the path of hollow bones. How about going to Eclipse Now Net, and check the box yes, you want to reform in banking. Love, Jubb David.